If you're from Fresno, listen to this. It was said that Winchell Cove Cemetery up by Millerton Lake is allegedly haunted due to the spirits being disturbed.
And that is because visitors have shared stories of hearing unexplained whispers, footsteps, following them along the trail, and unsettling feeling of being watched, despite being completely alone.
And the reason why the spirits are being disturbed is due to the fact that Millerton Lake before was a town known as Rootsville, and then they named it Millerton. And there was also a military outpost known as Fort Miller, where during the Mariposa War, these pioneers and settlers had passed away. The town folks were told that it's going to be flooded, so y'all need to go up and go to higher grounds. And so they did. And then they also moved the bodies from the cemetery. And now it's at Winchell Cove Cemetery and also Table Mountain Rancheria. And I think the fact that the spirits were at a location and then they were taken out of the grave to a new location and now they're haunting that cemetery.
I believe that.
So if you're from Fresno, drop down a comment and let us know. Do you believe that Winchell Cove Cemetery is allegedly haunted? Or is it just urban legends of Fresno, California? Drop down a comment and let us know. If you're from Fresno, listen to this. Hi, my witchies. Welcome to the Witch Dark Tales podcast. We're your host. I'm Megan.
There we go.
And we're from Fresno. We talk about haunted places, true crimes, urban legends, and the histories and scary stories of Fresno, California. And we're also known as the Witch Dark Tales podcast. Now, if you're from Fresno, why not subscribe and join our podcast?
Here we are, Millerton Lake.
Well,
Courthouse.
the courthouse. We are here at Millerton Lake Courthouse. Now, right behind us, behind the courthouse, is actually a lost city known as Millerton. But before it was known as Rootsville.
Mhm.
And tonight we're going to be talking about its history, the hauntings, so on and so forth. Now, before we get into the podcast, views discretion and audio discretion is advised. Everything we talk about is just pure speculation, and these are just from the research that we've done. But with that being said, let's get straight into the podcast of Fresno, Millerton Lake, hauntings and its history. Or history and its haunting.
Yep.
You guys can see the bug. So if you're from Fresno, listen to this. You know, we talk about haunted places all the time. Why would Millerton Lake be any different?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to talk about its history before we get into its haunting. Millerton Lake. Before us here in Fresno, California, within Millerton Lake area for thousands of years, there were several groups of the northern foothill Utes who lived within the grasslands and woodlands of this region. Beneath Millerton Lake in Fresno County, there was once a small town called Millerton. And a state-provided document shows that the town of Millerton was originally founded in 1852. Then at the time was known as Rootsville. Millerton was also called Fort Miller due to the outpost that they had during the Mariposa Indian War.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not know that we had a Mariposa Indian War.
I think I heard something about it, but I haven't thought much of it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's why a lot of people claim that Millerton Lake... Sorry, before we get into the story, do you think that's the reason why a lot of people believe that Millerton Lake is a native burial ground, even Lost Lake?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because, technically, this is considered Native American land.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were pretty much first here.
Right. Well, back to the story. A flood during Christmas Eve of 1867 struck the town with a landslide that had previously blocked the flow of the water. Upriver broke away, sending the strong water flow into the town, destroying everything in its path. It was stated the estimated population of Millerton was 200 people, and there was no lives lost during this incident because the people of Millerton had been warned beforehand about the danger, and so they all evacuated to higher grounds. Fast forward to late 1930s, the U.S. Department proposed and initiated the CVP, which also known as Central Valley Project, and thus the Front Dam was in the works, and soon by mid-1940s, Millerton Lake swallowed the whole town, figuratively speaking. Fast forward even more to the year 1957, Millerton Lake State Recreation Area was established as part of the state park system. And that is the Fresno short history of Millerton Lake.
A lot of history right there.
I know. I was getting tongue twister because It was just so much information. And, sometimes when we're doing these history podcasts, it's totally different from the stories that we know because when it comes to scary stories and haunted places, we know the urban legend, so we speak it. But when it comes to history, you have to state the facts. If not, people are going to say stuff. So what did you think about that?
I think it's very interesting.
Hmm.
You know, Millerton Lake is, there's a lot of history in this, and it's good for other people to know, like, what happened before it actually became a lake.
Right, right. And who would have thought that there was a lost city here where we're at?
Yeah,
So that means that there are, lost souls that's under there.
Honolulu Lake. I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a full one tonight.
You guys, it's a full moon tonight. So if you guys are watching this, it's a full moon tonight. Do you remember the story that the officer told us? The officer that where we work at, and we talked about this before in our podcast, but we're going to bring it up because it's related to the topic. During a full moon, the officer stated that you can see all the spirits walking around under Millerton Lake in the water. And now the reason why I said that is also because I was doing research and I found out that it is true. Well, not about the spirit part, but it's true that all the bodies that was here in Millerton Cemetery was actually moved before the water came, before the water flooded the whole area. The the bodies that people had passed away were actually moved to Winchell Cemetery and also Table Mountain Rancheria. And
Oh,
I don't know, but we're gonna see if we can see anything in the water because it is a full moon. Or should we wait until the moon goes up?
well, we'll see.
We'll see.
See ya. Okay, so now that we got a little history out of the way, let's talk about its hunting. If you're from Fresno, listen to this. It was said that the Winchell Cove Cemetery up by Millerton Lake Recreation Area is haunted. Back in the 1800s, Millerton Lake before was a town called Woodsville, and after that it was changed to Millerton. During California's early years, Millerton became an important community for miners. Tensions boiled over in the late 1850s when local tribes, including I don't know how to say this, sorry about that, the Witchy,
Aquanachi?
that was
If we're saying it wrong, so sorry.
Awanachi. Sorry about that. And Chowchilla attacked the trading post owner owned by Major James Savage on the Fresno River. This act of residency officially sparked the Mariposa War. Before the floodwaters arrived, workers carefully relocated many of the graves from the old cemetery to higher grounds overlooking the future lake. That's the new resting place that became Winchell Cove Cemetery. Today, more than 80 pioneers, settlers, and soldiers are believed to rest there. According to legends, relocating dozens of graves from the original military cemeteries have been disturbed. Spirits that never found peace. Visitors have shared stories of hearing unexplained whispers, footsteps following them along the trail, and unsettling feeling of being watched despite being completely alone. They say the cemetery and the submerged town are forever linked, creating an eerie atmosphere that has inspired ghost stories for generations. Winchell Cove Cemetery remains one of Fresno's country's most enduring local legends.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, in short term, what was the reason why they believed that it was haunted?
Well, according
Could
to this, supposedly their graves have been disturbed, and
like a native burial
mhm.
ground.
But I think, like, you can back me up on this. But I think when somebody passes away and they're buried in their already known location, it's pretty much a disturbance when they have to be relocated somewhere
Right,
else.
right. And of course, due to the, and I might be wrong here, but the Mariposa Indian War, there were pioneers and even Indians that have lost their lives due to the war. And again, I don't mean it to be say that this disrespectful. But what I'm saying is that, of course, they were buried. Leave them alone. Due to the flood, they had to move the bodies and relocate it somewhere else. But the fact that the spirits or the fact that people believe that they were being disturbed, that's why they're haunting that location, Winchell Cove Cemetery.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
crazy. So if you're from Fresno, drop down a comment and let us know. Do you believe that the Winchell Cove Cemetery is allegedly haunted due to these spirits that were disturbed by people moving their body from Millerton Cemetery to Winchell Cove Cemetery?
Mhm.
If you're from Fresno, listen to this. You know, Millerton Lake was said to be haunted, and due to the people that had passed away because they drowned. We've talked about so many stories from Millerton Lake that we don't want to repeat it because it's repetitive and we don't want to bore you guys. Now, we've also talked about the mermaid here. We talked about it once, and it was said that this lady was there was I forgot who it was, but somebody called 911. Somebody called 911, and when they showed up, it was a lady who had no clothes on, and she was walking, and then they stopped her and they were talking to her, and then allegedly she was a mermaid. Do you remember the story or no?
Yeah, I remember a little bit.
And they said she had webbed toes and feet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I personally believe that we do have creatures that we've never seen, just like how we talked about the giant catfish in Millerton Lake. We've talked about it before. Again, you guys check the episode. And again, we don't want to talk about the same thing because we're already doing it. We've talked about it before, so why would we bring it up again? Now, I believe that probably is a giant catfish here. And if there is, and people claim to see this giant catfish, then I'm pretty sure they probably seen a mermaid. How does she end up walking on land if she was a mermaid?
Well, she's what, part human, part mermaid,
Yeah,
and part fish, so
right,
I'm pretty sure she's able to walk.
right. And again, you guys, if you guys believe in mermaids, let us know. So if you're from Fresno, did you guys ever hear about the lady who claimed to be a mermaid that they found? Drop down a comment and let us know. That's crazy though, huh?
Very crazy.
I just wonder if these mermaids are here right now listening to us and we're just like, you know?
Very interesting, this area.
Right. But again, we all believe in different things. I mean, whether mermaids are real or not, maybe mermaids are real, but we just never seen them. Just like how we talked about last week on the Fresno Campfire Scary Story Time. We talked about vampires, right?
Mhm.
What are you looking at? I'm scared.
I saw the lights. There's a
Oh.
car.
Hi, just popping in. Unfortunately, we were asked to leave by the security guard to leave Millerton because it was 9:45 and it was going to take us a while to drive from Millerton Courthouse all the way to the exit of Millerton. And so we had other stories to talk about. We were going to talk about Fresno Scary Stories Times that was sent to us by viewers. We were going to talk about the Fresno event Summerween, which includes Hot Mare Expo and also the Scare Ween, which includes Walker Maze and also a Scarecrow Factory. But we didn't have time to do that. And so before we end this week's episode of We Talk to Us podcast, I'm going to keep it short. Drop down a comment and let me know what you guys think about this episode, which we talked about Millerton Lake and its histories and haunting. Do you believe that the Winchell Cove Cemetery is haunted? And also with the story of Millerton Lake town. Who would have thought that there was a whole town that was under Millerton Lake before it was flooded? People said that it was man-made lake. Again, I'm just doing the research and I'm just telling you guys what was said during the research, and these also includes the town folks' urban legends. With that being said, thank you guys for listening and thank you guys for watching. Where I'll see you guys on Sunday for visual here on YouTube and on Monday for audio. Blessed be. Please stay safe. Oh, happy 4th of July. Please be careful. When you're playing with these fire, make sure you guys are being safe. And if you are not being safe, you should, just because you don't want to get burned and set people's house on fire, which we're not promoting. Before you go to any other haunted places, please treat these haunted places with respect because you too one day might be haunting the location. Blessed be, everyone. Bye.